Voters will choose Wisconsin's next Supreme Court justice in 2020. The nonpartisan primary is in February. And let's take a look at the candidates who are running right now. Justice Daniel Kelly's term expires July 31st. Governor Scott Walker appointed him. Justice Kelly is now seeking a full 10-year term. Law professor Ed Falone is running for the second time. And Judge Jill Karofsky also on the ballot. Dane County Judge Karofsky joins me now. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for having me here, Adrian. I really appreciate it.
So right now, Wisconsin Supreme Court is 5-2 conservative majority. As you know, how much did trying to balance the court more play into your decision to run?
You know, I'm running because I think we need to get this court back on track. In talking to voters around Wisconsin, they are really concerned that we have judges who are acting like politicians. We have judges who are making decisions before anyone ever walks in to the Wisconsin Supreme Court chamber. And that is concerning for voters. Voters feel like that feels like corruption to them. And what we need to do is we need to have judges who are going to make decisions based on what the law is and not because they had big donors in their last campaign. And that's why I'm running for the Wisconsin Supreme Court.
And how do you do that? Because we know this is always supposed to be a nonpartisan race, but then it becomes political every single time. So how do you make sure that you don't get to one side or the other during this race?
So, because I'm running this race on three things. I'm running this race on my values. I am born and raised in Wisconsin. I grew up in a small town. My mom was mayor of that town when I was growing up. My dad was a pediatrician who, after he retired, opened a free clinic for his patients. I grew up in a house where we talked about the importance of workers' rights, of civil rights, of human rights, and of women's rights. I believe that we should protect our environment. We need clean air. We need clean water. I went to public schools. My kids also go to public schools. I'm bringing all of those values to this race. I also have the experience. I'm running on that as well. I'm a sitting judge. I've been a prosecutor. I've been a victim advocate. And I have the energy to win this race. I've been a Division I athlete. I've finished the Ironman triathlon 2 times. I can run ultra marathons. I ran 50 miles in one day a couple of weeks ago. So I'm running this race based on my experience, based on the values that I bring to this race, and based on the energy that I have. And I think all of that is going to resonate with voters.
People are already considering you one of the liberal candidates. So what do you say to that?
I say that my job as a judge and what I do every day is I make sure that I'm focusing on the fact that the law has to be applied equally. It has to be applied fairly to everybody. And as a sitting judge, and the only sitting judge in this race, that's what I do every day. I look at what the facts are in a case, and I apply the law, and I think about how that law impacts people with today in mind, in 2019.
Justice Kelly holds a position now. He's running again. How would you differ from him?
I would differ from him in a number of ways. I am concerned that what the Supreme Court that Justice Kelly has sat on has made decisions before anyone ever walks in the Supreme Court chamber. Let me give you an example. At the very end of the last session, the Supreme Court heard the case, the lame duck case, as we call them. And in that case, the Supreme Court didn't even let the trial court do their work. They didn't let the trial court hold an evidentiary hearing, a trial on what should happen. They just plucked that case and made the decision that we knew they were going to make before anyone ever went into that chamber. They're considering doing it again on the most recent case concerning Governor Evers' veto power.
So what would you do?
I would make sure that we're following the process. Trial courts need to be able to hear the evidence in these cases, and then we need to let these cases go through the proper procedure. People in Wisconsin deserve to have the process protected. They deserve to have a system that is consistent and that decisions aren't being made because of a check that was written in a campaign.
Conservatives seem to be feeling really empowered right now, especially after the last Supreme Court race. They'll be throwing a lot of money again into this one. They have what they call that grassroots effort in getting Judge Brian Hagedorn elected. How do you fight that?
Well, I think we've done a really great job in our campaign of our grassroots effort. At the reporting period that just ended at the end of June, we had more people contribute to our campaign than the other 2 campaigns. So we are doing a good job of talking to voters. I've been all around the state talking to people and listening to their concerns and telling them about the campaign that we're running based on my values, based on my Wisconsin values. They're listening to that and they're getting on board.
If you win this race, that would only leave one male judge then on the Supreme Court. How do you think that would make a difference?
Well, I'm going to go to Ruth Bader Ginsburg's line, right? And what U.S. Supreme Court Justice Ginsburg said was, for over 200 years, in the U.S. Supreme Court, we had 9 men, and that was okay for people. So I think it would be okay if we had 6 women on the Wisconsin Supreme Court or 7.
For people who are just getting to know you, and it could be a lot of people, so you're a criminal court judge in Dane County, you have your bachelor's degree from Duke, a master's in JD from Wisconsin, and I want to talk about one of your interesting hobbies, being an ultra marathoner. So that's 50 miles. And this is a hobby for you. Why do you like doing that?
It gives me an opportunity to be outside. I have a busy calendar with my work calendar, like you just said. I'm also the single mom of 2 kids, 2 teenagers, which is really a lot of fun, but it's also a lot of work. It is a way for me to be outside, enjoying Wisconsin's beautiful natural resources and environment. I just ran a race from Belleville, just south of Monroe and back, and I was outside just enjoying the beauty of Wisconsin for over 11 hours.
All right, Judge Karofsky, thank you for your time.
Thank you, I really appreciate it.
As I mentioned, law professor Ed Falone and incumbent Justice Daniel Kelly also want to sit on Wisconsin's Supreme Court. We are working to schedule interviews with both of those candidates as well. We've talked about those annoying robocalls on this show before. Well, Attorney General Josh Kaul announced 51 attorneys general and 12 phone companies have agreed to new steps to fight illegal robocalls. Our partners, WisPolitics.com, reported on what exactly that agreement includes. You can find that on their website, WisPolitics.com. Democratic presidential candidates are already fighting for endorsements from Wisconsin.
Did he ask for your endorsement in that phone call?
Upfront reporter Matt Smith explains why everyone wants a piece of the Badger State.